Southpaw assistant coach Jeff Bauer joins us now inside the Cardinal Playbook. Welcome, Jeff. And it's been kind of a rugged start. Dustin and I talked about this for you guys this year, but eerily similar to how you started last year, and that turned out okay.
Very, very similar. It's always heartbreaking when you lose. The girls are trying as hard as they can, maybe trying a little bit too hard, trying to be last year's team. We're not last year's team at all. We got to come up with our own identity pretty soon, what kind of team we are this year, and once we figure that out, we'll be very good.
Well, that's kind of interesting because last year you're so good, and really the core of this team has not changed. You still got, I think 7 of the 9 defensive players are back. What is different about this team?
Honestly, I think they are last year's team. And with every team, no matter how much change or consistency, there's different teams every year, different season. Everybody matures a little bit more, hitting-wise, fielding-wise. I just think they're trying too hard to be last year's team, and when they to realize that this is a new team.
Just to go back to last year, you kind of started, as we said, the same way, and that one ended up in a 32-win season, the best in school history. Looking for that to kind of take place here about this time of year?
I'm probably going to give you a little bit different answer. Wins are great. Yeah. Well, we want championships.
Good.
We could have 10 wins. That's fine, but I want to win a championship. But obviously more wins are going to help us get in the conference tournament and get us a better seeding, and then hopefully that leads into the regional rankings where we can go from there. But if we can get 25 wins, we get 40 wins, I just want to win a championship.
I think that's great. I think we'd all go for that. That's good. You've been with the program for 4 years now. Dustin says that in our previous interview that that in itself has made you valuable because you know what's expected, you know what to expect next. Can you talk about that, about your 4th year here and your role on this team?
Being my 4th year, I think we forgot to mention that I was voted Jewel's softball assistant coach 3 times, best softball assistant coach.
That's good.
For Jewel.
Yeah.
I think that hasn't been mentioned to anyone yet, but that's just
we'll keep it a secret.
That's the coaching staff. My role is do whatever I can to help the girls win, do everything I can to help Coach Combs be prepared and everything he needs to do to coach the game. Help work on the field, recruiting, and just do basically everything I can to help the girls win and Coach Combs' best position possible.
Well, let's break that down a little bit. Let's talk about coaching at first base. I was a college first base baseball coach. I know it's a unique position. What are the responsibilities for you at first base?
Well, I'm not sure if we have enough time in your broadcast to go through all the responsibilities. Basically, to be on a more serious side, just giving the girls as much I guess, for them knowing the situation, as much information as I can about the situation, whether if the catcher is doing a certain way or if the second baseman looks like she's going to come back and try and pick them off or where the outfielders are located. Just little things like that, obviously how many outs and just keeping them on track that way.
How about when it comes to recruiting? You mentioned that. What's your role in the recruiting of Jewel softball?
To assist Dustin Combs as much as I can with recruiting, being out as many tournaments as possible, as long as I can get there and within reason and money. But just doing everything I can to find the best athletes and best people for this organization, Jewel softball.
Is there a single physical attribute you look for, such as really fast people like Potvin or powerful hitters like Faith Song?
I wouldn't say a certain attribute. Only attribute would be, the competitive side. But obviously, strong arm and quickness. Speed and quickness are 2 different things. You've got to be quick in softball.
Right. Yep.
Not necessarily in home run hitting. What we've recruited is good hitters, and then Coach Combs developed them into home run hitters and solid contact hitters.
Right. Let's talk about the practice aspects. What are you responsible when it comes time for practice?
Outfield, working with the outfield and preparing them to do whatever they need to do in the game to throw the runners out.
Okay.
That's our mentality. We're going to be aggressive. If we're not going to catch it, make it look like we're going to catch it, hold the runners up, and then throw them out when we get a chance.
Well, you've got to be really pleased then, because our outfield is one of the best coverage outfields, with Potvin in left and Barrett in center, and then you can go with a couple different people in right. That sounds like a real talented group. Yeah,
it's a credit to them. They really work hard. Despite my lack of coaching, they work hard, and Ashley Barrett has really taken over and just kind of helping coach and everything like that. But they've done a great job of just doing everything that I've asked them to do and Coach Coleman asked them to do, and they just bought in and to our philosophy of we're going to throw you out.
Let's talk about Ashley for a second, because at the end of last year she broke her leg trying to score. You didn't have her for the postseason. What difference did that make to your team?
It adjusted our lineup a little bit, but also we didn't have that leader. We had leadership, but losing Ashley Barrett in that situation that late in the year was tough on everyone, just because it threw a little wrench into our lineup, and also made it a little, I'd say, easier on the defense, because Ashley can either slap or she can hit home runs like she did last week. So we have athletes on our team that, when Ashley went down, we had athletes on our team that stepped up, which is great, and that's also what we look for also.
Has she shown any signs of not being 100%? 'Cause I can't tell any difference.
No, Shay, our trainer, has had to remind me a couple of times, because I always forget that she was, out for a while. So Shay reminds me that she hasn't seen live pitching, or she hadn't run for a while. So I can't tell a difference, and that's a credit to Shay and Ashley for working hard and rehab and getting back to normal.
Jeff, 4 years here as an assistant coach, but you have a kind of an NFL background. Can you talk about your career behind the scenes in the NFL?
I was very fortunate to have a job opportunity out of high school. Mike Davidson asked if I would join his equipment staff right out of high school, and I knew that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So to have that opportunity to work around Marty Schottenheimer being there with the Chiefs in the 90s, and Derek Thomas and Marcus Allen and all those great athletes, and seeing how they prepare for games and practices and what they do, the film study, and that's a big influence on what I do now and what I do recruiting-wise too.
Sure. Not only with the Chiefs, but you also spent some time on the West Coast.
Yep, the Seattle Seahawks with Coach Mike Holmgren, and got to know them when he first went out there. Was looking for younger people, and I was young still, so obviously I took that job as fast as I could take it, and loved it. That's one of the best experiences I ever had, was moving away from home, kind of learning what I needed to do. But being around Coach Holmgren, see how he organized practices and game days, and then also being around great athletes like Matt Hasselbeck and everybody else that was up there, just seeing how they prepare and how much work they put into it. And because this is not just roll out there on Sunday, it's work on Monday, Tuesday. And I've told a lot of our girls how that situation is. They got to prepare, and it's get to game day, everything's good.
You, when you were with Seattle, part of that Super Bowl team that went to Super Bowl, I can't remember what number it was, but against Pittsburgh, right?
Yep.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
It was a great experience, but kind of go back to Jewel softball real quick. I've told the girls that my experience with that Super Bowl 40 team, Seattle Seahawks weren't the best team in the league, but they had the best team chemistry, and they fought hard and great coaching. Our team right now is very similar to that. This year's William Jewell softball team is very similar. We may not be the best in the country, but I would put our team chemistry and our coaching up with anybody in the nation. So we can go on that same run that the Seattle Seahawks did. That Super Bowl experience was one of the best things I've ever been a part of, just seeing the intensity of every play. But also the worst thing I've ever been a part of. One of the worst things I've ever been a part of is losing a Super Bowl, being that close to your dreams, and then just not being able to win. So.
Finally, you've taken over a lot of the promotional duties for Jewel softball this year. You have your KC Fast Pitch Day, which was rained out last week. You've got it rescheduled now. Can you tell people what that's going to be like? And if I recall, what is the date on it?
April 5th is KC Fast Pitch Day. Ringer is working to come back out. They flew in town just for this event, and then it rained, so I felt horrible for them. Sure. But we had a great turnout of people interested and wanted to see the new shoes Ringer has. But it's more of a celebration of, and to kind of kick off the spring for the travel ball teams.
Jeff Bauer, the fourth-year head coach, assistant coach. Maybe he wants to be. Maybe it's something we don't realize yet. But the assistant coach for the Cardinal softball team has been our guest. And when we come back inside the Cardinal Playbook, a final word before we sign off. We'll see you in a moment.